Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Yeah, I've not been coming live on here much lately, so I just want to start by apologising for that. Basically, I've just been finding it really difficult to come on here and do a stream. And more importantly, I feel like there hasn't really been anything to talk about or anything to really stream about. There's not really been all too much happening. This year has gone in a direction so far that I didn't expect it would go. It's not been the best start to a year. Unfortunately, don't get me wrong, there's been some good things happening, and there's some really good things coming in the pipeline. However, there just isn't really anything, there's been a lot of unfortunate bad things as well. We came out of 2024, we'd had this we'd had this almost like amazing sort of perfect year. And then we came into 2025 and it's almost like I just became really quiet. A lot of bookings just haven't come through. A couple of things to make some unfortunate announcements about as well. So the first one I will say is I was playing Fusion Bounce at the Doncaster Warehouse. That event has unfortunately been moved to another venue. It's been moved to another date, and I'm unable to unfortunately do that date. They moved it to the 10th of May. I'm on holiday in Ireland on that date, unfortunately, and I could no longer do the gig. I was very gutted about that one because playing the Doncaster Warehouse was something that I've always wanted to do. But then I'm kind of almost feeling like that there's a curse about me playing there, because every time I seem to get an opportunity to play there, or I think I'm going to get an opportunity to play there, it's like something happens and then I don't end up playing there. And I don't know what it is. It feels like a curse. So there was another opportunity where I thought there's a possibility that I might be playing the Warehouse again. And then it doesn't now look like I am. I'm not sure yet. I'm not certain. But I don't think I am. But basically, I bailed somebody out, to cut the long story short, at their last event, and I kind of sort of helped them when a DJ didn't turn up. And then basically the event wasn't doing all too well, so it's moved venue. It's had a change of venue, and I've been real supportive, and I'm I've offered to help in any way. I even offered to help sit on the door and do the tickets and everything, just being real helpful. I'm happy to help. And we discussed about me playing a set, and it was all kind of looking positive. And then they went and booked somebody else instead, when I thought, I've just kind of bailed you out, and then you've just kind of gone not really, took that into account and not really listened, and then just been I'm going to get somebody else who, in all fairness, they have maybe slightly supported the brand, but, in all fairness, I just think, you went and put a load of people on that weren't even supporting the brand. But anyway, we're not here to moan, we're not here to argue. It's just some unfortunate things have happened this year that have been a little bit different to the following year. But there's some good things coming, and I can't wait for what is to come. But yeah, unfortunately, the Fusion Bounce, that is no longer happening at the Doncaster Warehouse. But the good news is that they are doing another event later on in the year, and I am involved in that one, and it is at one of the other nightclubs that I've really been looking forward to playing at for the first time. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with that. Hopefully that one still goes ahead and takes place, and hopefully we do quite well. in that sense. Anyway, Chain Reaction is tonight. That is one of the reasons why I've come live. Big shout to you. My set time is 9 o'clock. I'm back to back with DJ Kleiny. We're doing kind of like warming up with a bit of a bounce set. I want to kind of take it a little bit harder. I'm not going to lie, towards the end. I've been having a little bit of a change in my music lately, and I've been doing a lot of either like clubland sets. They've been what I've really been enjoying. And then I've also been getting a little bit back into my hardcore again. And when I say my hardcore, like, I mean the proper, like the HDID, the Clubland Extreme, the the Quash records, the Twister records, absolutely, honest to God, been getting right into them. Who is my favourite singer? So my favourite singer is probably somebody that you will have never heard of, and a lot of people have probably never heard of him because he's quite an old school singer, and although he does still sing today, he's not a massive singer. However, he played a big part in kind of like the evolution and the beginning of like the house music and the acid house. The guy from Chicago goes by the name of CC Rogers. He sang a song in the late 80s called Someday, and in this record called Someday, there's a piano riff, and the piano riff at the time was just a nice little piano riff. But little did anybody know that in the early 90s, somebody would go on to sample that piano riff and turn it into like a breakbeat rave track. And the tune absolutely blew up, and it's one of the most popular, if not the most all-time popular 90s rave track of all time. And then through various years, there's been countless covers, remixes, bootlegs, official remixes, people that have sampled the same piano melody that all came from this track that this guy CC Rogers sang over in the late 80s. And it's just basically talking about like we live as one family. It's just a really positive, just really good singing. CC Rogers, a really good singer. He also did another track called Never Give Up, and I really like that one. And one of my favourites that he did is a track called No Love Lost, and that again was a really good tune, and the melody in it is what I really like about it. But his voice is just phenomenal, and I think there's loads of singers that I like. There's I love like the likes of like Lasgo and Dee Dee and a lot of the Clubland singers, and there's some really good house music singers. But for me, like looking back and thinking like just the all-time favourite, like it has to be CC Rogers. But I do like people like Rachel McFarlane, Julie McKnight. I love people that sing on all like the house records, and like Sophie Ellis Bextor did a lot of singing for the Freemasons back in the day, and also did stuff with Spiller, Groove Jet. She sang on that, and there's been some really good kind of like singers over the years. Even Darren Styles has been quite a good singer. Jenna in the hardcore scene has sang some of the best hardcore anthems sort of the late 90s sort of through the 2000s. She was a big part of the Dougal and Gamma era, where they were doing all the like all the Tears I've Cried, Trust in Me. Absolutely amazing vocalist that you just can't beat. And then there's been like other singers like Lisa Abbott. We've had people like Mandy Edge, who obviously sang for Recon, and she sang for Paradise, See the Light. Then we've had people like Infectious for Breeze and Styles doing Amigos, and Karen Danzin and Karen Parry. There's been loads of singers. You get the point. There's loads of singers. But going to the all favourite has to be, You Live in Manchester. Never lived in Manchester. Never. Never lived in Manchester, probably never will. Nothing against Manchester. It's just I've always kind of been Yorkshire. Yorkshire's kind of been like, you know, my home sort of like place, East Yorkshire, sort of Driffield, Hull. You know, Brid Scarborough has always kind of been the area where I've grown up around. So I will always probably live like sort of around the Hull, sort of around the Driffield area. And then, like, when I do want to move away, which I do want to move away, don't get me wrong, I want to move away more when I kind of feel like I've done everything that I want to do. Kind of, I'm thinking more maybe when I retire. I would love to move on to the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man, you know, is a place I've always wanted to live. And don't get me wrong, I come to Manchester all the time. I do gigs in Manchester, so I'm very familiar to Manchester. The Victoria Piccadilly train stations, I've been there quite a few times over the last couple of years. You know, I've done quite a few things. I auditioned for Britain's Got Talent in Manchester. Quite a lot of years ago now, 2018 I think it was, when I auditioned for it and sadly didn't get through. But basically, you know, like, you know, Manchester's just not somewhere I'd want to live. You know, I like where I live at the moment, but like I want to go to the Isle of Man. In hindsight, or I do at the moment. Like when I get older, that might change depending like how the world goes and how things go. But the Isle of Man is a beautiful place. It's a really and I just like it's its own little island. It's its own little community. And I just think, you know, like everything. I just feel like, you know, like you just, you know, everything's just kind of like its own thing, if that makes sense. Like you go over there and it, you know, and the post is not the Royal Mail, it's the Isle of Man post office, you know. And then like you know, the bakeries are like Isle of Man bakeries, even though one of the main bakeries, Ramsey Bakery, shut down. But I just feel like, you know, the fuel stations, they're not Shell or Esso, they've got their own, you know, they're like EVF and I forget what the other one's called, but you know, and I just feel like it's just one of them, like it's a really beautiful place. There's loads of good scenery. Of course, the motorbikes are there. You know, you've got to go for the motorbikes, haven't you? Do you know? And I just feel a little bit like, do you know what? Like that is what I want in life. That is what I want in life. You know, is to do that. You know, to go and live there. But you never know. Like unfortunately, in recent years, the Isle of Man lost its P.O. Kipper house, where you could watch them. Basically, like you know, cook the kippers, you know, and then it's lost Ramsey Bakery. It had an independent supermarket called ShopRite. That sadly got bought out by Tesco. So slowly, it is kind of becoming not as good as it used to be. And you know, by the time I'm going to be obviously thinking about retiring, you know, we're going to be in like probably like the 2000 and sort of 50s, 2060s. You know, when I'm going to be sort of into me, you know, 50s, 60s years old. Like, you know, we're coming into 2000 and, well, we're you know, we're 2025, so we're 5 years off 2030. I'm 3 years off being aged 30, so 2027, I'll be 30 years old myself. You know, in 2037, I'll be 40. 2057, I will be 50. You know, 2067, I'll be 60. Do you know? Like you know, 2097, I'd be 100. You know, 87, I'd be 90. You know. So a lot could change by then. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, so chain reaction tonight. I just thought I'd pop on. Set time's 9 o'clock. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a shed load of fun, and hopefully it all goes down well. We have a good blast and we have an enjoyable time. I'll tell you what I am actually quite looking forward to is getting a kebab. That is something that I am looking forward to, getting a doner meat and chips later on. I've eaten, but I know later on, like when it gets to like the early hours, I'm going to be like really ready for that doner meat and chips. And in all honesty, I've not had a kebab shop, doner meat and chips for a long time, and there's a takeaway across the road from the club where you can sit inside. So I'm going to be going there for certain, and making use of some nice doner meat and chips, which is going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. Or if I don't, I'll be getting some like cheesy chips for definite. So that's good. But yeah, so like I say, we've had a little bit of a quiet year so far. We've had a few unfortunate things. My nan sadly passed away a couple of weeks ago, which it's not been the easiest thing. And then literally, not even a week later, her sister, my aunt, unfortunately passed away as well, who was battling dementia. And she was really unwell. My nan had fallen quite unwell as well, and they just sort of more or less, went around the same, more or less around the same, with a matter of like 4 or 5 days from each other. They died basically, which it's sad really, because I grew up with these people, my nan was quite close with my aunt, or great aunt, whatever you want to call it. And like every week, like my aunt would come to my nan's for a coffee. My nan would also go there. We'd go on a lot of days out together. We'd always round like the kids up at summer, so there'd be like me and my cousins, and we'd always be going on days out, and we'd always be doing things. And like they were good memories, but like you just like you don't ever picture a world without it. Like they're all, and the hard thing for me, I suppose, was knowing they was always there. Like, yeah, I got older, I got busy, I got a job, I got living my life and doing things, but I knew they was there. I knew I could ring them up, or I knew like when I went to Driffield that I could go and visit them, and just like the old days, the kettle would be on and there'd be a brew getting made. And it's knowing now like that has gone. Or like even like in the recent years with my aunt getting dementia, like we'd still go and see her. So like I'd come through and visit my nan, and because she only lived up the road, like we'd have a walk and we'd go and visit, and it's like all of that has gone. And that is, I suppose that's what's like the hard thing for me. And another hard thing for me as well with this whole thing is I keep getting reminders. So like I'm somewhat keeping as positive as possible, and I'm going about my days. And basically, like something will remind me of something. So, like for example, today I got into work and I went into the kitchen at work to make a cup of tea, and there was a box of muesli on the top of the fridge at work. And it just reminded me that my nan used to like muesli. And then it kind of like for that moment, it's like it hit me again that like that she died again, and then I kind of felt this almost like this like upsetness of like like oh yeah like like I felt like like poor nan, like she's not going to have muesli again. And that's kind of the hard thing. Like it's little reminders. So like we'll be doing something, or like I don't know, like I'll go to a restaurant and I'm looking at the menu and I'll see something, and then I'll think, oh, if we was in this restaurant now with my nan, like she'd be ordering this. She used to love ordering that, and then I'd be like kind of sad again because she's not there. And it's like all these little reminders. I went on a road trip on Tuesday down the motorway, and it's the first time I've been down the motorway since my nan died, and we was going down the M62, and funnily enough, we were kind of heading sort of the way we would go to Blackpool. And when I was a kid, more or less every year, around the summertime, we'd have a holiday at Blackpool. We'd go for like 4 or 5 days a week away in Blackpool. Me, my nan and my granddad, and we'd be down the M62 in the van. We'd stop at Artshead, And I was just thinking, like, we're coming down the motorway, and I was thinking about that. Like, we used to go on these family holidays, and and how these, family holidays, like how we used to have so much fun, and we used to count the Eddie Stobart lorries when I was a kid. And then, like, on the way back on Tuesday, we stopped at the Arts Ed service station, and I was a little bit like, yeah, like, we would always stop here. It was the one we always liked to stop at. And I just, and then I was thinking, do you know what, like, like, it's just it's like, it hits you then, like, but we aren't going to stop there, all three of us together, like, we're never going to stop there again, and that was kind of the thing that was a little, and it's them little reminders, like, something pops up and I'm like, my nan, you would have done that, or my nan used to do that, or my nan liked doing that, and then it hits me all over again, and I'm like, yeah, she, like, I'm almost like, fuck me, she's actually gone, so that's been a little bit tough. And then, of course, the auntie going, that was upsetting as well, because I was quite close to her, and it was just like, does anything else have to go wrong, but it, unfortunately it did, But apart from that, like, I've been trying to keep positive. There's some really good music stuff on the horizon. There's some really good things, going to be happening this year. Music videos, new tracks, some really cool things. I can't go into detail. We've got some really exciting things, and then I've got some exciting things with my youth job. We're starting a radio station, which I'm looking forward to being a part of. The radio station is potentially going to get some more funding, and I'm going to do a lot more on this station, which is going to be good. Really looking forward to that. Big shout to Bronk, what you're saying. So yeah, some good things. But anyway, mainly Chain Reaction tonight, Sheffield. My set time is 9 o'clock. I'm gonna cut from here because I'm setting off in around about an hour. So I need to freshen up. I need to jump in the shower. I need to get myself ready. I need to give my phone a charge. I need to gather my headphones, USB stick up, and get everything ready, get everything packed, ready to go and hit this club and do what I need to do. So make sure to like, make sure to comment, share. What is Chain Reaction? It's a nightclub event. So it's an event, it's a rave event. So they put raves on, basically, in a nightclub in Sheffield. DJs, MCs, ravers, fast pounding rave music. It's going to be going off, and I'm performing live on the stage. I'm DJing myself. If you don't know, I am a DJ myself. I'll just show you if I can switch the camera around, which I can if I click that. So I've got DJ decks myself. I DJ myself, and I perform quite a lot in nightclubs. Last year was my busiest year to date. I did over 30 gigs. This year I've not done. I'm not going to do anywhere near that, I don't think. I've got quite a quiet year up to now, but the gigs I'm doing are somewhat like they're better gigs. So, like, I did a lot of gigs last year, and don't get me wrong, like, I enjoyed them. But there was a lot of really small gigs where the attendance wasn't that good. So I was playing to a lot of, like, small crowds, and I was doing a lot of people favours, and like, bailing people out when DJs won't turn up, and I'd end up playing here and end up doing something there, and then basically, like, it was all well and good, but, like, in the long run, like, they don't really mean anything. Whereas the gigs I'm doing this year, they're a little bit more better. They're a bit bigger. They mean something. I'm tackling some goals in that sense. So I'm happy, kind of, in that sense. But yeah, that's actually rad. Yeah, it's sick. But anyway, I am going to cut from here because I need to get sorted. I need to get ready. So make sure to like, comment, share. We'll see you soon. How do I